Good morning. Well, it has been about 3 weeks since I got off trail on day 73 of my Appalachian Trail thru-hike attempt, and I am finally getting to the point where I can be outside for little amounts of time without feeling absolutely depleted. As of now, I'm back home in Georgia, and part of me was holding on to the hope that I wasn't going to be here for very long, so I kept my backpack all packed up and ready to go, but just a few days ago, I decided it was time to go ahead and unpack it. So I'm going to bring you along for the day as I talk through what exactly happened on trail and what that means for my plans and this channel moving forward. The library has become my best friend over these past few weeks. I've been spending a lot of time laying around and reading books while I rest and recover, so that is the first place we are going to head to this morning. One thing I made up in my mind before I ever even started the hike, there were 3 things that were more important to me than getting to Mama Kay, and those were my faith, my friends and my family, and my long-term health. And if there was ever a point where I felt like I was putting one of those things in jeopardy, I wouldn't hesitate to pull the plug, so to speak. People say these phrases like, the trail will always be there. And yes, that is true. But when you're out there on trail, the trail is your life. You are eating, you're sleeping, and you are breathing the Appalachian Trail. And I love that, being fully immersed in the experience every day and getting to meet these amazing people. Sure, there are highs and lows, but for the most part, I was having an absolute blast, and I hope that was evident in my videos. But there is one thing about being on trail. It makes it hard to make difficult decisions, because when you're on trail, there's this almost like driving force that no matter what, you just got to endure and push through and get to Maine. And some days that's really good because maybe morale is low and you do need to push through that, or maybe you've got a little bit of discomfort and you do need to push through that. But sometimes it's not good because there are situations that you need to take a step back and think, is this good for me? Do I need to keep pressing through it? And yeah, that's just part of life on trail. So I had to kind of evaluate that, and you all saw it unfold in my last video. But to be honest, when I went back to rewatch that, in an effort to not come across as complaining, I did not really express how awful I was feeling after I hit the stream crossing that day. Looking back, things probably started to deteriorate at the hostel, and by no means am I blaming anybody, but it was just hot and I wasn't able to drink enough water because the power was out, and I didn't have access to water that night and that morning. And by the time I had hiked 7 miles in the heat and humidity, you know, the heat index was close to 100 that day, as it had been for several weeks of the heat wave.
Massive early summer heat dome is bringing record-breaking temps.
Dangerously hot conditions and record-breaking temperatures in triple digits.
Breaking down a massive heat wave that is taking place across most of the eastern United States.
I dunked myself into the stream and I started thinking about exit strategies because I really just wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I was not feeling like myself. Like you just get to know your body out there and you can tell when something is off. As I was sitting there at that stream, I was only kind of feeling worse with the passing of time, but I couldn't quite pinpoint what was feeling bad. Like I said, I was just feeling off, and I knew that my closest exit was Ford. As I say that, I'm thinking to like airlines, like, keep in mind your closest exit may be behind you, but in this case my closest exit was Ford. So I knew no matter what I needed to keep on moving. So I packed myself up and I started to hike 2 miles to the next water source. Now, everyone else who I had passed that day or who had passed me was camping at the shelter about 15 minutes away. But that shelter did not really have a reliable water source. So I made the choice to set up camp down by the stream, and it was very difficult to set up camp that night. I had cell service and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I just remember I had to stop every 15 minutes to remember what to do next. I was feeling mentally fatigued, physically fatigued. And so I just called it a night. I was super nauseated. I was not able to keep any of the water I was drinking down. And I was really worried I was going to have to call search and rescue. But from my wilderness first responder training, I know that self-rescue, if possible, is often the best rescue. And so that was still kind of my plan at that point. But I made sure that a couple of friends and family members knew where I was just in case anything were to happen during the night. And as you saw in my video, I did develop a fever overnight.
Almost 3 a.m. and I just woke up with what I'm pretty sure is a fever. I'm having chills and I'm hot. I don't know how I'm gonna get out.
And I still was unable to, I was trying to sip electrolytes and even that wasn't staying down. Thankfully, it was just throwing up and nothing else. And that's how I knew it was probably heat related and not neuro. And I needed to get out because you can survive for a while without food, but you cannot survive for very long without water. So that's when I started that next morning to develop a bit of an exit strategy. Before continuing on with the story, I am going to head over to a newer local coffee shop so that I can work on my blog post for the trek, as well as brainstorm a few ideas for some upcoming YouTube videos. But before we head over to the coffee shop, I want to say a quick thank you to Eva Polar for sending me this mini cooler. As you know, it has been pretty important for me to keep cool over these last few weeks. So this mini cooler has been perfect, whether I've been lounging in bed, reading a book, getting some work done here on my laptop, or even getting in a stretch on my yoga mat. It is very easy to set up and move around, which I'm going to show you right now. This is their Eva Chill model, and it is the smallest and most portable that they have on the market right now. The top slides back just like so, and I can insert the funnel here so that I can fill up the tank with my water bottle. Now I just need a power source. I can plug it directly into the wall, or if I'm on the go, I might want to use my power bank. And we just press the power button right here. Now there are different modes that control the fan speed, so I can just flip through those and find the one that I want. And if I'm sleeping with it, maybe I don't want the light on, so we can change that color right there. It is very portable, so if I need to move it from room to room, I can do that as well. If you have a home office or are going on a car camping trip, or maybe you're just a hot sleeper like me, this portable cooler is perfect for you. I'm super excited to bring it along with me on my next road trip to enjoy this energy-efficient, chemical-free, pleasant breeze. They've provided me with the discount code MEGAN20 to get 20% off your cooler of choice. I've also included a link in the description box below. A big thank you to Eva Polar for sponsoring this portion of the video. Just like this video is not the most fun trail video to film. That was not a very enjoyable blog post to write, but I feel like the stories of those who get off trail or need to take a break from trail are just as important to share as the moments on trail. and it's part of my experience, and I want to be honest and open and share that with you guys. But I loved the atmosphere of that coffee shop. It was a little bit loud and crowded inside, so I didn't feel great about filming the next part of the story in there. So let's dive back into it. So I was awake for most of that night. I was sweating, I was shivering, I definitely had a fever, and I knew from any kind of first aid or wilderness first responder training that I was not in a good situation and I needed to get out. So the next morning, I started packing up my things, and by this point on trail, it was taking me about an hour to get ready in the morning, especially now that it wasn't cold anymore. That morning, it took me about 3 hours to pack everything up. I just mentally was really struggling. I remember never really feeling scared per se, but I just kept telling myself, we can do this. We are going to make it one step at a time. And I was walking so slow. I would take 3 steps and I would lean over my poles. I was sweating profusely, but I made it out to the Blue Ridge Parkway, and thankfully the parkway was open a little bit sooner than I thought it was going to be. I just found out the best news ever. I came across these 2 motorcyclists who were riding the parkway, and I was like, wait, is it open now? And yes, I'm about 6 miles in, and the parkway is open further than I realized, so I can get picked up here, which is amazing, because now I don't know if I can check in yet, but I've got a reservation. I can't wait to take a cold shower. I'm realizing as I'm filming this, I'm hoping you can't hear the super loud air conditioning. It is incredibly hot today, and I will be running the air conditioning, so I'm sorry if that is a little bit loud. But by the time I made it to the Blue Ridge Parkway, I had been talking with a local shuttle driver before, and he had told me that he was free all day, and whenever I made it to the parkway to just let him know and he would be there. And the second I got in his car and the air conditioning hit me, I was starting to feel a little bit more like a human. I won't say I felt completely better, because that's not true, but I did feel more human. So he took me back to Daleville, and the only way I can describe it is I felt like all of my muscles had 10-pound weights on them. In Daleville, I visited the local clinic, and I went to a hotel where I slept 14 hours during the night. I just was physically and mentally exhausted. I survived off of chicken and dumplings from the local Cracker Barrel. And speaking of Cracker Barrel, I am going to have dinner with my grandma and one of my friends tonight. But first, it's mid-afternoon right now. I have been going to the gym to walk on the treadmill for about an hour every day, but I think today I want to change it up and do something a little different and go walk a few laps at the mall. I know, how old am I? I used to do this with my grandparents all the time growing up, and I haven't walked laps in the mall in a very long time, but I still need that aircon to feel normal while I'm exercising. I can't quite exercise in the heat for very long right now, and if I want to do an hour-long walk, I think that'll be fun. But I am house sitting for one of my family members right now. I'm watching their dog, so I need to run by and let the dog out first, and then we'll head over to the mall. Ready? Smells like my teenage years. The mall is a little bit warm today, but that's all right. I just wanted to give a shout out to my family and my friends who checked in on me, who drove up to get me, who booked a hotel for me. I am so grateful. The doctor from the clinic let me know that I had likely experienced a borderline heat stroke, and he said that my body was in a very vulnerable state and essentially I should take at least a few days off to rest and recover and rehydrate and just give my body what it needed. He said he had seen actually quite a few cases of heat-related disease and illness this year. I mean, it has been quite hot on trail and even back here. I mean, you saw earlier, it's 100 degrees today outside. But he suggested that I should wait until it got cooler to get back on trail. And he said, you know, I know you're on a thru hike and I can only suggest it and you're gonna do what you're gonna do, but he asked me to consider, you know, the long-term impacts of if I were to have a heat-related instance again, that could cause long-term organ damage. So I took his words into consideration. I called some friends and family and I stayed at that hotel for quite a few days just trying to see if I got better. And after 4 days passed and I didn't get any better, I cried and I made a very difficult decision. I came to the conclusion that it's okay to press pause on an adventure when it no longer feels safe. I've made the decision to quit my 2025 Appalachian Trail thru hike. I'm not quitting the trail, by no means. My plan and my hope is that I will be feeling good enough to return to the Glasgow, Virginia area later in the fall, and that I'll be able to hike a few hundred more miles, at least up to Harper's Ferry, and then I'll be turning this hike and this adventure into a few lashes, and I guess I'll become a myth, which is a word that I learned this year on trail, a multi-year thru hiker. And it's not what I was planning, it's not what I had hoped for, it's not what I had dreamed, and the plan has changed, and that's okay. It's okay to adjust our dreams sometimes when they no longer fit our reality. So my dream is no longer to thru hike the Appalachian Trail. My dream is now to hike the Appalachian Trail. It's not ideal and it's not what I thought it would be. And in the past 3 weeks, I have been dealing with this feeling of restlessness and a desire to be back out there. You know, I see my friends who are on trail posting and I chit chat with them and they're still moving forward and I want to be there with them and I'm so proud of them and I'm so happy for them. But like I said, I want to be there as well. But I'm doing what's best for my body. I'm letting myself rest and recover, and that is what my body needs right now. So I am working to reframe my mindset from this was a failed adventure to being grateful for the almost 800 miles of trail that I had the opportunity to hike. You know, I know so many people I've talked to who have just dreamed of doing this one day. And I can be sad, but also I can be grateful and just reframe the whole thing from a failed thru hike to gratitude for the experience that I had and the people that I get to meet and the continued adventures that I'm going to have on trail. And I want to take just a moment to say thank you to you all, especially if you're still watching this far in the video. But if you have bought me a coffee, if you've just watched these videos, if you've left a comment down below, if you've met up with me on trail, thank you, thank you, thank you. It does not go unnoticed. And I don't know if I would have made it that far without your support. And honestly, I do hope you keep watching and following along the adventure. While yes, I will still have Appalachian Trail content coming out whenever I do get back on trail. I also have a few videos that I've been brainstorming and would love to hear if you have other ideas of things like my favorite hostels that I experienced for the first half of the trail and, you know, how much I spent in a week on trail and just some real talk women issues on trail that I would love to chat about. So I will be filming either daily or weekly vlogs when I get back out there, and I hope you do continue to come along for the adventure. But thank you, thank you, thank you so much for the support on this leg of the journey. I would have never in my wildest dreams have imagined how amazing it is to have a community like you guys. So thank you so much. Again, I'm so grateful for all of you, and I hope to see you again very soon for another great day of hiking. Goodbye.